Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Well, it's getting close now. It is nearly finished and Santa is just around the corner. Oh boy, what an epic task this has been. If it wasn't the seed stitch, it was the berries stacking, the big bead and the little bead on top. I nearly said diamante. No, big bead, little bead on top of a sequined to give that three-dimensional feel. Oh, just so much work, but I've thoroughly loved doing it. It is now time to work on the bird. So I'm just going to position myself a little bit here. I've got a few things sitting to my side. I've got a little bit of the pink, a little bit of that net, just sort of to carry the story, a little bit of tatting. I grabbed some calico too, or muslin. I'm thinking I might use a little bit of that, some general fabrics. I just don't know how glitzy the little bird will be, or lacy, but I've got it all nearby. Oh, some diamantes. That reminds me, I was going to grab the wedding beads. Let me just grab those. The pieces of lace that, oops. Okay, got it. I'd put it away. And I just remembered then there was a strip of, like a cut, there it is, a little cutout piece that I thought might be nice to pop into the little bird, sort of part of the plumage. So we'll put that there. Okay, first things first, let's get my black lines pushed back. So we might start with tracing the body of the bird, and there's a wing in there behind as well. So what will we do first? I think we'll get the body. I just want to start blocking out my lines. So I think I'll do something along the lines of this. All the detail can be added. So that's what I've got. Can you see the shape? That sort of sneaks up onto the wing. I think that will be a good start. We can always add more pieces if needed of calico. This is purely just to push my lines back and to soften the bird. I did consider embroidering the bird, but I think with what's going on with this panel, that's a lost cause. There's so much glitz and layers that little bird has to be right in amongst it. So let's start with just building up maybe the body. Yeah. I can always tuck a little bit under there and there for the wing. I'm hoping I didn't stitch down those poinsettias. No, so that's going to sit there fine, and then I can bring some more plumage out. Okay, let's start by getting that cut out of this calico. You could pin it, which would be the sensible thing to do, but I'm just going to wing it, rough cut it. I want that furry textured look. It's not needle turn applique. I think that was a little bit bigger there. And I guess if it's a bit out of whack, we just cut another one. Okay, have you got everything ready for Christmas, guys? I think I have. Look, we're not going overboard this year. It's been a bit of an ordinary year, bar all my personal adventures gallivanting around the countryside, but from a family perspective, a bit ordinary, so having a quiet one. All right, let's get that in there. Mr. Bird, there's your base. And then we can do whatever we want from this point. I've got, and they said it again, diamantes everywhere, which I don't. They're actually sequins. let's just position you in like that. Okay, that's pretty good. The beak is hidden, but not all the way, so we can do something there when we're ready. Probably be a gold beak, black beak, I don't know. I'll just flatten that out. So technically, to, you know, do this properly, I would now stitch this down so that it's in place, but we don't have time for such adventures. So I think I'm just going to go straight into creating some more plumage for Mr. Bird's body. Here, one big feather there, that'll do the trick. Then it's going to be a case of find lacy bits that best suit the shapes. And now that I've covered everything that I've drawn, well, really we can do anything we like. That one there should give us another tail feather up there. Just going to manipulate those few sequins there to get underneath. I nearly didn't stitch those in because I had a feeling the bird's body might come through there. I need to trim that just a little bit. So if you want to honour the drawing of the bird, probably the best way would be just to stitch it straight down. Like combination of all sorts of stitches would probably work really well. A satin stitch, long and short stitch. Yeah, you could do all sorts. Probably don't need this little bit, but I'm going to just pop that there. There's a tiny elbow peeking through, like the other side of the wing. So I just want to cover that. We'll worry about the plumage now or later. Let's layer up our little bird. So working on these neutrals, I just want to see what scrappy bits we have in here that could become something. That nearly looks like a wing in itself. I'm about to make a whole lot of mess. I don't mind that. I could probably remove that pin now. It's just something line there. I don't know if those colours work with it. Keep the neutrals, or we could bring a little bit of this in. A little bit of red. Might be a bit dowdy, but I am planning still to do the edge with a bit of red. We might just make his head using the template. You're probably thinking, well, why didn't you do that in the first place? Because I didn't know I wanted to, and once I knew my lines were out of the way, it opens up possibilities for other textures and surfaces. Yeah, that's good. I like that to be potentially the shoulder of that wing. I'll fiddle around. When I stitch it all down, I will fiddle with those sequins. They're very close to where the bird's plumage is going to go, but it's nothing I'm too worried about because I can trim and fiddle once we've got the basis of it started. So we might find something for his chest, a little bit more of that out. Just before we start getting into the lace, let's just keep working on building up bits of the bird. Rough it up a little bit just in case it is seen. That's his chest. We'll still work with that wing, however may that be. It can just sit there for now. That's it. So we could do with a little bit more for his underbelly. This is just putting in neutral bases to hide the calico, but if we can make it look a little layered and interesting in the process, that's a bonus. Now we've got a bit of an eye thing happening there. See that streak? Let's find something for that. Needs to be a slightly different colour. There's a tiny scrap. That roughly looks like the length we need. So we'll just cut ourselves a rough shape. And that could be his eye. There we go. He's a scrappy little guy. We might put a tiny little bit in there with it just to make it pop a little bit. So I'm going to do a similar shape except a little bit smaller. That'll do. Just to give him a little detail there. He's going to be a rustic bird by the looks of it. Just pin that down. So let's get some more layers happening. Maybe something to sit over that white wing. A bit more of a shoulder detail. How are we going to pivot it? Pivot it back that way. Yeah, something along those lines would just about do it. We've still got his little shoulder joint popping out there in the calico, which I'm okay with at the moment. So let's start working some long plumes, and we might stick with the layering down of some vintage fabrics. Like I said, we can always bring, even like all of that rough edge, I think we'll end up using all of that. All right, we're starting to build tail feathers. We'll bring you right out. The fact that it's a little crimpled up, I'm liking. Just get that positioned. If I had known that I was going to use such heavy fabrics, probably didn't need to do the calico, but it doesn't matter because who knows what will change with Mr. Bird here. I come back to that. That's sort of, oh no, there's another piece that's folded in. That's why I didn't notice it. So let's get that in next, and we'll sort of uncurl it a little. Well, like that. And a messy little wing. I'll just stab it for now. It's like one of those specimen things. Okay, could do with something under there. Now maybe we start looking at some laces. I've got this tatting. I don't know. What about some pink? No. And I don't think, what else have we got? A little bit of lace that's very nylon. Maybe I'll keep going with looking for a music, fabric with music on it. That's always good for a Christmassy bird, isn't it? Let's take a chunk of this. Really pays to have a mixed basket of goodies. Music's upside down, is it? Yeah, of course it is. That way is what we want. So we need, what I was going to say is, it always pays to have these mixed containers, these things, just full of random bits. So when you do collaging like this, you've got plenty of little morsels at your fingertips. I feel like I need something in there. Do we bring a little bit of this in? Do we bring a little bit of that in? Oh, it's such a beautiful little piece. This is so heavy. This might work. Yeah, it's a little bit lighter weight. Just need a pin. And then once I get this all invisible stitched down, it'll be a case of then I can look at maybe putting some beads, some little random stitches. Just depends on how far you want to go with it all. I think the more crinkled it is, the better. I feel like I could do another little piece of music just to have another tail feather. Maybe he's not going to be as glamorous as I thought. It's probably because I've been looking at sequins and shiny things. Let's just pop that in there as well, just to make that tail feather look like it's connected to the one underneath. Yeah, I like that. Oh, yeah, I like that. That's very white, be my only comment. But, you know, you also need to define, that's very, very white. You also need to define things. So sometimes changing, I'm going to pinch those little leaves out of there. Sometimes changing the color tone to something really bright and striking helps the eye, I guess, see what you're trying to. Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, I like that. So now his shoulder has just that little bit of plumage. Like, see that there? Looks very feathery. So we're just going to plonk that down there. Don't overthink this, guys. Like, I don't know if I can give you any more advice than just snip it, lay it, see if you like it. If you don't, try something else. I'm just thinking maybe we could start the plumage off with a little cluster of that. That'd be a bit cute. That then went in there. There we go. Just sort of carries the story. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so let's work on all this business. Do we do a big blob of calico? I'm thinking we will. Get rid of those lines. We know we want lines in there of texture, but we want them, these ones that I've drawn here on the piece, just to disappear a little bit. So we'll do one semicircle. I think that'll, I guess too, by covering those lines, when you want to freestyle your piece a little, it gets them out of the way. they're done. Oh, here's a little bit of Osnaburg. Let's do it in that. And that way, if some of it's showing, it won't matter. Yeah, what am I trying to say? If you cover all your lines that you've got there, I guess it clears your way of constructing something completely different. I've got some other birds in some of the other pieces where I've sat there and stitched them, but I didn't want to do that this time. This piece is very free form. So these little sequins, I'll just have to carefully tuck all that. I suppose they don't have to be tucked. Now let's get some more plumage covered, sliding that in there, and might make it a bit jagged. Like that. I'm sure it'll be covered in fabric, so it won't really matter, but I might just be a little bit mindful of that shape, I think. Yeah. Once again. And remembering every time we do a template, everything just gets that little bit bigger, which is fine. Now we know the rough shape of all these feathers, so once again, we'll just freeform cutting some feathers and lace, and that's pretty good. So that gives us our background. And like I said before, those little pieces there, I can fiddle around with and make sure those sequins from the holly sit where we want it. I just don't want to hide that brown. There we go. So let's begin. We might start with, where's the music, I think. Let's get some plumage happening with music. And it's going to be a similar sort of process, I believe. Just finding bits and pieces to start building up. I'll tuck him in there. This is where the bird's going to end up heaps bigger. There we go. So it carries on the feathers a little. So where are we? We go back to some vintage pieces. I like, try and get them as long as we can. Might aim for that one there. You can see the seam that's been unpicked in him. That's very cute. What else have we got? That was in the eye. I don't think I want to take that up into the tail. This is the shoulder. I don't think I want to use that again. I think we'll stay within the colour palette of just these few things. A little bit of this. So we should be able to get a few bits and pieces out. I just cutting over to the side, guys. I know you can't see, but I just don't want to cover my work in a heap of scraps. It's a bit close to the one at the back, so we'll put you right up through the center. A little bit more music. once you start building it up, you can then see if it looks even or you need more of one than the other. I know I do want to bring a little bit of this in, but we've just got to get these basic background feathers done, I think. So I'll just keep nibbling at this. Piece here. We need some more fabric, so let's see what else we can find in the some of the fabric you get on the edge of a doily. These little holes are really cool. They would make it interesting. Could even dig out some feathers if we really wanted to go down the path of lifelike birds. I like that. Where'd that piece get to? I can put another one. Don't even mind that. See that edge is pinking sheared? It's an interesting edge. Let's get that in. This is going to be really tricky to stitch down, let me just say. But that's all right. We will suffer. I think I'll turn that. We can just get them roughly laid in there and then sneak some pins in. Let's get another one of these dotty ones. I like that idea. That I'll know exactly what that feather is from when I look at this piece. Out of an edge of a doily. That gorgeous piece from France needs to come up to the front. It's lost there at the back. Hello, Fudgy. All right, I put some more music in. Could do with a little bit more. And then we might start looking at some lace because I feel like I need another music. Oh, text. Let's slide in some words. That's better. Got a little bit of a blank spot there. So we only need don't you jump up here, Fudgy. You will frighten my bird and I'll have feathers everywhere. Just trimming that so it's a little bit more rounded. And I want to try and sneak it in under here. Oh, goodness me, this is just all teetering. It should be fine. Like I said, I'll fiddle with it when it comes down to stitching it. It's just all about getting the layers right. Right. So that will lie up there. And that'll just soften where the feathers meet the bird. I still need some more bits. What's in the lace department? Oh, I just don't want to pull it all out. Can we have a little sneaky look without? It's looking for something small like this. Don't feel like cleaning up a big mess. Can we? I don't like that bottom edge. Looks very hard. What else is in here? Do I need, oh, hello, what are you? be random enough. What exactly have we got here? Like, I like that shape. It's very feathery like, but I don't think I can make that work. Let's have another little look. Hey pussy, what's the matter? I don't mind this because we can cut off that line. Gets rid of that harsh. I think this will do it, because what we can do is nibble out just little bits like that, and then strategically place them in amongst it, and that'll just soften everything a little. Gosh, this is going to be an absolute booger to stitch, an absolute bugger. That's all right, we can do it. I might take that up past our height, just to, like, it's not stopping at that first little circle, it's going a little bit further. If we could just get one more out of there. Oh, it's tiny. It's okay, that should, I can hear my phone buzzing. Is it important? Who knows? Should I check it? Probably. There we go. I think that's pretty good. I really like the plumage now. It's not too bright up there. It's textured. I've got some antique pieces, some lacy little edges, some doily that you would crochet into it. That's those dots. Slightly different to the rest of the bird, yet there's the common theme of the music. So I'm happy with that. So now it's just get a pin everywhere so that this can go to be stitched. Fudgy's just rolling around on the ground beside me. He's a good boy. I might just pin this tail feather so that that's all down. I've been hoarding that tiny little crushed piece of seam from my French trip, and now I'll be hoarding this tiny little red bit. Oh my goodness, but it's all good. It's all good. Let's bring that eye piece up. The eye is roughly there, so it's not too bad. I'll just pin that. I'm not going to change the shape of that. I'm going to let the beak actually be a bit shorter this time. Yeah, I like that. So everything should be pinned. So another stitch that I could do through there is some fly stitch or something, just to bring in a little bit more detail, some little short and long stitches there. I still have this piece. I feel like it just doesn't suit the bird. Yeah. And I've been saving it. Can I work it in somewhere else, I wonder? No, just save it for a rainy day. Put it away. Okay, our little bird is ready to be stitched. What about this? See this little flower? I'm thinking on his shoulder we put that, just to tie it all in. Yep, that's going in. One little bird, and all these little morsels back into the lace, the fabric. all those little bits back into the fabric pot because I can guarantee we will use them another day. All right, so we didn't end up using any glitz. Oh, I think we might. Should we? A tiny little bit. I'll just cut a little bit off. Just feel like we need to sparkle him up. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I don't know how long this video will be today. It's sort of come together quite quickly. This little guy is definitely part of the floral array here. With it, whether he wanted to or not, he is. There we go. We've added some sparkle. I had to do it, guys. Got a tiny little bit here. No. Someone's just texted me again. Well, what I might do, I just feel like I've got a feeling I should check that message. What I might do is pause the video. I will endeavour to stitch little bird down and do some maybe decorative stitches all over him. Then when I come back, we can work on the border, because I believe once that's stitched, we're ready. Let me zoom in so you can have a really good look at how little bird came together in the end with all these little feathery bits. Camera probably doesn't do it as much justice. I just have a feather kicking around here. Don't know where he got to. It's been here for ages. Oh, it didn't make it to the bird. All right, guys. Yeah, I will. I'll pause the video. I'll go and stitch that down. I need to find some gold thread for his beak. Something. It's tricky because it's so fine that I could make it look weird if it's stitched. I'll have to see how we go there. All right, I will be back once Birdie is stitched and we'll go from there. Won't be a moment. Hi guys, I'm back. I'm over on the cutting table now because we just need a little bit more space to talk about the border. Let me just first of all show you the bird. The bird is finished. So I end up getting some DMC dark grey cotton, one strand, and I stitched the beak. I stitched around the eye and the head, and then I just put up into the tail feathers a few little stitches just to give that little bit extra detail. So the bird is done. I could do a couple more stitches over into these tail feathers, which I might do yet, but at the moment I'm going to call it done. So the border. The colours that I chose on day one, these still work. Really happy with them. This little blue picks up the blue. This red just tones it down a little bit because the poinsettias are just so out there. So I'm pretty happy with the fabric still holding their own, I guess. I was trying to work out what size to do the border and all that, and I had thought of unpicking the edge hem of the panel, but that didn't last long. I did, 2 inches, and I thought life is too short for that. So I've cut it off, and I'm going to actually keep those pieces because they make great ties for things. So they'll just go in my stash, and that could be, you know, a journal tie or something. Great colour too, nice and neutral. So those will be kept even though they've been trimmed off the piece. So what I decided to do is trim them off and then trim the wadding back so everything ends just where that seam was on the panel. Then I had a look at where my stitching ends and starts, so like the seed stitch, and I ended up doing a folded piece of fabric. Now what width is that? It is, let's grab my little tape measure. It is 1¼ wide, so that's 2½ inches. Now I haven't measured anything. I've just literally, this piece was created and then that piece sort of joined in and away we went. And I'm alternating my colours, and in the same token I'm alternating my patterns. And I had to go and grab another blue because I wasn't quite ready to bring that stripe back in. So I went and grabbed this fabric here. So there's a extra blue. So that's what I'm doing next. I'm just pinning the panels, the binding. So the next one to do is the spots. I'll show you how I do it. I'll finish off doing that. The little pieces are pretty much the right size. So all I do, I'm not going to get my cutter out and do it all precise. I'm just doing a bit of a rough fold. If you want to go and grab your cutter, you can. Crease it, finger press it, I think's the terminology, and then give it a quick slice. And it doesn't really matter what the back looks like size-wise, as long as the front lines up. Now, there were two schools of thought. One was to stagger the patches like that, so they're not joined up, which I started to pin, and it actually looked quite busy. And I think it's because there's so much going on in the panel that I ended up just bringing it up to the same edge so that it was, now I'm just going to crease it the opposite way, slide that under there, crease is your rough guide, and bring it over, line it up and pin. So there'll be a little bit more seed stitch needed to finish it to the edge. I might even bring the seed stitch onto the pieces of fabric. I don't know. What stitch am I going to do? What's going on under there? What stitch am I going to do around the edge? I'm thinking I might just do it a camphor stitch, to be honest, just a running stitch, which will secure everything. I'll start on the edge, along this edge, and then once that's secure I can then readjust pins and just make sure that everything is sitting nice and flat. Maybe come 1/4 inch in and just whip around the outside of it. So I think that's what I'll do. So the stripe is next. So pretty simple. You could, like I said, use your rotary cutters and get all fancy and 2½ inch seam, but loving the whole slow stitch. Do it by hand, take your time, it will do. Gives you more of a rustic feel, I guess, for want of a better word. So now that I've cut it, I'm just going to press it back the other way. Slide it into position. I'm lining up edge to edge. If it needs to adjust a little in behind, it can. And there we go. And pin it. Oops. So I believe we are coming to the end of the project, guys. I thought I'd need another video, but I don't think I will. I'll get this camphor stitching done, and then I'll come back and show you the finished panel. There is an opportunity to put some tabs on at this point if you want to hang it. Mine's just going on a coffee table, so it'll just be trimmed around the edge, and that will be it, I believe. I can always add tabs, you know, at a later date. Don't like the fact that this fabric is here and it's also up there, so I might break the rule a bit and bring this guy back in. And then he will go there. But then I've got a blue and a blue. Is it just my imagination? That's a problem. Probably not. Oh, it's not even the right fabric. That's why it's odd. It's this fabric. Oh my goodness. Well, there you go. So it worked out in the end. Just didn't look right. You're probably all yelling at the screen. It's a really simple border. I need to do something about these scissors. There is the tiniest of squeak in there. I don't know. Maybe I've got hearing of a dog, but I can hear it, and it's subtle, but it's there, and it makes my teeth chatter. I'm going to start howling like a hound. What's that? Dog whistles? That's what it sounds like, a really high-pitched squeal. I showed Gaz the scissors and, used them, and he can't hear it, but I can hear it. Probably needs a little squirt of oil or something in there. What would I use? Sewing machine oil, real fine oil, or is there something better? Let me know in the comments. It's probably something really specialised you need. I need to do something. It's really getting to me. There we go. I've got some nice rows of camphor stitch to do. I could do a different stitch each piece. No, that is the wrong one. But that's okay. I'm okay with it because it was bugging me that it was the other stripe. Anyway, doesn't matter. Oh my goodness. Overthinking it, aren't we? It's a straight edge. Just need to trim that, guys. That edge is not straight. It's just enough. Awesome. Couldn't have planned that any better. At least with stripes and checks or plaids, you can use those lines to give you a bit of a guide. I did have a floral fabric out. I don't know if you remember on day 1. Let me just grab it. This fabric here was also in the pile, but I suspected it just wouldn't work because it's all the flowers are in the centre. So that's why I think the border needed to be, just a plain stripes, spots, just keep it simple. Most of these fabrics are Lucello. This check is goodness knows where. Don't know. I think it was in a kit. Colours are perfect. They don't compete with that red, but we're picking up on that blue. Really, really like it. Gives me a little bit of that country vibe too. That one will need adjusting a little bit. I can see the corner is just not quite. Oh, that's all right. So there you go, we're all pinned. So I'll just grab my crochet cotton and start camphor stitching around the perimeter. And like I said, I'll start, hopefully everything is pinned nicely. Yep, see how you can be forgiven on the back. so you can at least get your front right. That one looks right. Yeah, what I'll do is I will start on this edge first. That'll secure everything. Then I can just make sure the fabrics are flat as I proceed. There we go. She has her border. It's got quite a bit of weight in it. Nice little morsel. So that's it, guys. I shall toddle off and finish the piece, and then I'll put a video at the end, probably a photo or 2 or 3 at the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me, those of you that ordered the panel. Thank you, thank you. I think there's a couple panels left. If anyone decides that they did want to grab one, just dodge over to the website and we'll get one in the mail. What else I need to tell you? I think that's about it. Yeah, have a great Christmas. I'm sure I'll talk to you before Christmas anyway. If I don't, Merry Christmas. Have a lovely holiday if you're going on holidays. Enjoy your family time if you have family around, and if you can, get some stitching done. Take a moment because it's a busy time, and if you can get a little bit of stitching in, you'll be much better for it. All right, guys, look after yourselves, and I'll finish the video up now with some photos of this all stitched. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay, I'm back and it is done. Well, the only thing left really to do is some seed stitch. If you look to the top corner there, you can clearly see where the seed stitch doesn't quite make the binding. I'm sort of, as I was stitching it, I didn't mind the fact, now look at the bottom corner here, I liked that. So it sort of quite stops and you can see a bit of background, but I'm not a fan of that down here. So my thinking is I'll do a little bit more stitching just to soften that edge. I can just see a line there. I like this side. I don't like that top corner. It's a little bit harsh, so I'll stitch out into there, and I'll probably soften that little corner there. But the panel is finished. So I thought I'd just pop it on the carpet and take some photos and just touch base with you guys again. I ended up doing 5 rows of running stitch, and I followed the edge lines. So what I mean by that is I started here on the blue, went to the end, then I did it again and again and again until I had my 5. Then I started here and went through to the stripe in the red and stopped, and then I did the top blue corner through. So where the fabric on that edge started and finished, that's where I stopped. Probably very wobbly, this video, so I do apologize if it's making you seasick. So there you go, all done. Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye for now.